stay in school. See how we help all students succeed at communitiesandschools.org.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
News Radio 690 KTSM presents the El Paso History Radio Show with your host, Andrew J. Polk, streaming live at KTSMradio.com. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-588-1850. And by Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina, making the old Griggs recipes in a new location at 6761 Donovan Drive. By M1 EP Management Corporation. By Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino with El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gift shopping. And now, El Paso History with Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for the El Paso History Radio Show, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you all for joining us, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media that we are up on these days. You can find us for the El Paso History Radio Show, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.tv, either under El Paso History Radio Show, or Andrew J. Polk. Of course, today is July 2nd, 2022, and we have a very special show for you in honor and recognition of the Independence Day holiday and long weekend, for most anyway. We are talking about some of the regional contributions during the Spanish colonial era to the cause of American liberty and how those contributions affected the war and can even qualify those in the modern day now for membership into some of the genealogical organizations related to the celebration and keeping up of the memory of these, and even how July 4th is celebrated around the world in further recognition of this history. You can find us live on air, online, live streaming, KTSMradio.com. And again, full video on the El Paso History Radio Show Facebook page, and up here shortly, went over on the Remember in El Paso When page as well. And of course, this is the place where we say Texas history begins in El Paso. And we do have a history moment today at the top of hour 2 from documentary filmmaker Jackson Polk. Today, talking about the history of Asarco and its, well, very long history indeed there as one of the oldest smelters, if not the oldest, in Texas. And of course, we have a guest today in studio here, Martha Vera, Honorary Consul of Spain in El Paso. And we will also be having a number of guests calling in from, well, across the region and around the world here. So good morning, Martha.
Good morning, Andrew. And I'm so happy to have some of our friends join us. And thank you all for joining us today.
Absolutely. And we actually have one of these people. And when I was saying around the world, I meant that very literally, because I do believe we still have the line here right now. We do have the Deputy Mayor of Martha Vera, Spain, Katie Hallibone, who's going to be speaking on July 4th events happening in your location. Good morning there, Katie.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for inviting me on the show. This is very important day for us here in Martha Vera, so it's fantastic. It's just worked out really, really nice.
No, that's excellent there, and I'm happy you're stepping away here. So just to give people the sense of when we are saying around the world, what time is it currently where you are?
Well, it's now just gone 7 o'clock in the evening.
So 7 o'clock in the evening, and you are all, and particularly to do and call us here right now, you are more or less stepping away from some of the celebrations you have going on right now. Is that right?
Yes, well, we're all kind of getting last minute things ready, finishing up, getting all the little bits of our clothing ready to look fantastic when we go. And at 8:30, our time, we will be beginning the parade down to our square, which Bernardo de Galvez's square, where we will be doing a open air theater all about the history of Bernardo de Galvez and the principal kind of act, the last act, is all about the Battle of Pensacola, because it was very important for the independence of the United States of America. So it's, one of the most important battles that he won. So it's one of the main parts that we have in our little theater thing today. Our And there's other things, there's all kinds of other things that we're trying to explain to people about, the New Orleans and what happened at that time there as well. And when he was, there and all kinds of stuff. So you can actually watch it live if you go onto YouTube and look for the link. You can watch us live doing the whole thing. So it's a very
Excellent.
special day for us to remember what Bernardo de Galvez did for freedom fighting. And, Spain has always been, I think, even after the freedom fighting of Bernardo de Galvez for the United States of America against the English to make them now independent. I think Spain has always been a freedom fighter. They've carried on being freedom fighters afterwards. I mean, the beginning of the 70s when Franco died, then this has been all liberation and freedom fighters again. So we have new freedom fighters now.
Interesting perspective there. And we also have the picture of you up on the screen right now. You said you took this from us you sent this to us from a picture a little bit earlier today, showing you in this, very particular attire here. So for those that may not be at all familiar here, because I do feel there is a certain recognition, of course, of the continental struggle that happening to those, the residents of the 13 colonies. That's the major story. To a certain lesser extent, also of the French story and contribution of it there, but not as much as probably should be the contributions of, the Spanish here. So that's a little bit of also the attire you have on there is about that. So tell us a little bit about what you're wearing here in these pictures.
Well, what we're wearing is the typical, the dress of the time. I'm actually wearing the typical, what they call the English style. Some of the other ladies, they're wearing the French bateau, or they're wearing something else, maybe the Polonesa. I've got the English style, but it's the exact kind of clothing that they would have worn in this time that we are recreating in our village today. So it's the clothes that the ladies would have worn at that time, with those kind of materials, the special, the shape. It's all from that, exactly from that period, So
and so
it's all a lot of work during
absolutely, I'm sure.
the year, looking for the right kind of material and looking for different ways of decorating something, but not being out of time, because we want to make it as true to that time as possible.
So the way that you all celebrate this, because often there's almost the old joke of I went over to England for the summer here, and they don't celebrate the 4th of July there. Why is that? Because it's almost one of those unintelligent traveler kind of jokes here, but the joke would almost be turned on its head for people who were having similar kind of expectations if they were to show up in Spain around this point in time every year, because this is the celebration going on. Yes?
Yes, this is a celebration going on in Vialla, because Bernardo de Galvez was born here, and this was something that we decided to do I think about coming up to 15 years ago now. Decide to celebrate the 4th of July because of Bernardo de Galvez, because he was born here, a freedom fighter for the United States of America, was born here in Vialla, and that's why we do it. But we're the only place in Spain that will be celebrating this way, with a reenactment and really getting into the history. We'll be celebrating the 4th of July, the whole village. I mean, there'll only be maybe along the coast or places where we have colonies of Americans. Well, obviously the American clubs that will be celebrating 4th of July, but not the way we are doing this. It's the whole community is getting together. People from our village, people from outside the village get together. We're more than 150 people doing this. And we actually, even the day before, the pictures I sent you this morning were from yesterday, when we had our promotional parade through the center street of Malaga, capital, which is Calle Larios. It's the main pedestrian street, and it's the special the special street in Malaga. And it's where we are allowed once a year to go and promote what we are going to do the day after in Macharavillaya. And Malaga always receive us with their open arms, and they enjoy it so much. Seeing all the ladies, all the men in uniform, all the granaderos. So, yeah.
No, it sounds like quite the celebration, and we again greatly appreciate you coming out for us here. So back in studio here, Martha, put a little bit in perspective for us what this means. That people, I mean, we've talked about a lot of celebrations that are going on that, again, even when I first found out, I was mildly like, wait, what? This happens? Kind of thing. So put in perspective for us here, we've mentioned a couple of very important names and important events here, and even popped up some of the pictures of them here, but how do you, for someone who may think like, wait, I still don't get it, why does Spain in any way, shape, or form have a celebration on the 4th of July? How do you even go about explaining it to them?
Spain was such a contributor to the winning of the American Revolution. Without Spain, nothing would have happened. So if you remember that before any of the revolt had happened, the French and Indian War happened in 1754 to 1763. So what happened? It was the French and the Indians fighting against Britain for the land of the upper Ohio River Valley. And so guess who wins? Great Britain wins. And so now we have Spain looking very carefully at Great Britain because they have an eye on everything else. So during that war, Spain joined in 1761 and lost Florida and lost some of their land in the Bahamas. So now everyone was suffering from all of the losses that they had, not just people, but monetary losses.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And so the Great Britain decides that they're going to tax the 13 colonies to make up the money for that war. And it's very unfairly and unjustly taxed. So the Sons of Liberty decide that they're going to dress up as Iroquois Indians and throw 342 cases of tea overboard at the Boston Tea Party. So this happens in 1773. Yes.
Right. And it's very interesting because, among other things, the French and Indian War is often how it's referred to from the U.S. perspective. Otherwise, around the world, it was just kind of essentially one of the many wars happening between Great Britain and France. Our aspect was, well, again, very significant to the people living here, just a small part of a larger conflict that happened. It's tempting oftentimes from the modern perspective to think of all wars were regional, small things that happened before we hit the modern era. But I mean, in this time when there was, colonies and stretching out of these empires across the globe, these conflicts could happen just about anywhere that there were these territorial ambitions being had. The United States, or what is now the United States, certainly a part of it. But again, you mentioned there like Bahamas, other holdings. I mean, I think there was some combat happening in some other islands as well. And of course, some continental as well. So again, it was quite an extensive type of thing going on. And yeah, the taxes that came out of it were quite significant. And so again, the French contribution oftentimes, at least making some mention here in at least popular media and of course most historical analysis. I remember reading about it in like my high school textbooks kind of thing, even though it wasn't the most focused on aspect, but I'm just entirely missing the idea of the Spanish contribution. So to even further bring it home, one of the reasons, besides of course the holiday we're talking about it here, there are some direct contributions because among other things, there was material support given from this area to that cause of American independence.
Talking about El Paso, New Mexico, Janos, even in Mexico, all of the cattle was being run through here. So it was all being run through Texas, El Paso, New Mexico, cattle that was going to feed the 13 colonies. Not only that, but what was Nueva España was taxed by King Carlos III, where everyone needed to give something. So it was from either 1 to 3 pesetas. All over Nueva España, Central America, South America. And so that money was being funneled up to the 13 colonies in bags. And these bags had the imprint of the Spanish crest on there. Pretty soon they ran out of those bags. And now they had to draw the crest on there so that the colonists would know where that money was coming from. And so before the war, so I wanted to mention how much money was actually coming up here to fund the war. And it was like hundreds of thousands of pesos fuertes, which meant that each one of those pesos was worth, in today's terms, $50.
Wow.
So this was from 1776 to 1779, before Spain ever entered the war. So Spain was helping the rebels. They really were supportive of them even before Spain went into the war. And then after the war, they actually supplied up to 8 million reales. So that's a lot of money when they're coming, because they are paying the colonists, which, some of the colonists didn't want to fight with George Washington because they weren't getting paid. And so,
that was one of the many issues ironed out, among other things, like at Valley Forge and such here. So there's a lot that we're going to get into here. We are due for that first break of the hour here right now. We got a lot of people chiming in with us online. Maya Justin, Daniel Lehman, Maria Barragan, George Sanchez, Angie Salazar, Mark Morales, Robbie Flores, Tanya Hare, Larry Kendrick, Marjorie Reveles Benton, Robert Haynes, Flaco Jimenez, and Monica Cervantes. So we're going to get to more of your all's comments as well, being popping up on screen here. And again, on the line with us right now, we do have Deputy Mayor of Matara, Spain, Katie Hallibone. And Katie, we're going to take that first break right now. But coming back, we'll talk a little bit more about, again, how this celebration even happens, and then we'll delve even further into the history here. So Katie, stick around with us, and we'll be back with more on the El Paso History Radio Show after this brief break here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
Many retired El Paso area homeowners don't know where to begin when it comes to downsizing and selling their home. Patrick Tuttle and his Legacy Home team follow a proven process to help retired homeowners sell faster and for more money. Call Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850 today and get your home sold faster and for more money. That's Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850. Call him today.
M1 EP Management Corporation is proud to sponsor the El Paso History Show. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, invest in real estate. M1 EP manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. See the website, m1ep.com, m1ep.com. To learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation of investing in real estate, call 915-592-4549. 915-592-4549.
While the world bickers over why prices are so high, you drift on over to your happy place. We've got your shot at $1,000 with Inflation Vacation. Listen every hour from 9 a.m. through 5 p.m. weekdays for your chance to win $1,000.
Bake for Your Tank is brought to you by the El Paso Zoo Society. Take a rock on the wild side. Rock and Roar Music Festival, July 2nd at the El Paso Zoo. 2 music stages, a silent disco, arcade games, and so much more. Get tickets at elpasozoosociety.org.
The El Paso History Show with Andrew J. Polk is 10 a.m. this Saturday with the latest in the space race from Chris Orwell, Executive Director of the New Mexico Museum of Space History. The El Paso History Show is sponsored by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant in Cañutillo, Mission Del Rey Southwest for gifts and decor, and by M1 EP Management Corporation, Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on News Radio 690 and streaming live on Facebook and YouTube.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. With millions of YouTube views, shares, Instagram likes, followers, and fans across the globe. But what do all these amazing pets have in common? Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a shelter or adoptable pets near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard? Well, that's entirely up to you. Visit theshelterpetproject.org and hear more about Hamilton the Pug, Toast, and Keyboard Cat's amazing adoption stories. Start a story, adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Your perfect pet is just a click away at theshelterpetproject.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
And now, let's turn back the pages of time and return to the El Paso History Radio Show. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-588-1850. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, 6761 Donovan Drive. By M1 EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino, with El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gift shopping. Here again, El Paso History with Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for the El Paso History Radio Show, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. We are at the El Paso History Radio Show on Facebook. Go there for our weekly promo announcements on our topics of the program each week. Go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/El Paso History TV, where you can find the entire run of the El Paso Gold DVDs from Capstone Productions, covering more than the last 20 years of history production here in town for free anytime you want them, plus the 20 recent segments on our ABC7 TV series from El Paso History TV. Kind of one of those, if you didn't know, here are some significant sites in our area and a lot more like that. And also a reminder of some of our advertisers. Pepe's Restaurant in Canutillo, open for in-house dining at 6761 Donovan Drive. That's 6761 Donovan Drive. You can call Pepe's at 915-877-2152. That's 915-877-2152. Home of the one and only margarita. We'll be heading there today here. They are open today, but they will be closed July 4th through the 11th. So taking the Independence Week, I guess you could say, off, but we'll definitely be heading out there today ourselves here, as we are again joined here in studio by Martha Vera, Honorary Consul of Spain in El Paso. Thank you very much for sticking around with us.
Thank you.
And of course, we still have on the phone line with us right now, we do have the, again, Deputy Mayor of Machada Villa, Spain, Katie Hallibone. And we've been, again, putting up some of the pictures again. Just have to put that one up, a view again from a little bit earlier, because, again, it's an impressive costume on its own, but then also the reason that you are doing it is very interesting. And so some of what Martha was describing in the last segment was some of the reenactments that you all actually do, because it's not even just a paraded celebration. And that doesn't even really happen around here, for that matter, is actual reenactments of what happened in some of the major events.
This is what Martha just mentioned the tea loot that they did in New Orleans. I mean, that's one of the things we reenact and tell people about, and so it's really educational. It makes. I know there's a lot of American people that don't know, but there's a lot of Spanish people that don't know, the contribution that Bernardo de Galvez had on the independence of America. And what I wanted to, for some of your listeners to understand and realize that, we're the only place in Spain that celebrates this way the independence of America, and we are a very, very small village. We have only 7 square kilometers of municipality, and we only have just over 500 inhabitants. So to do this play we do every year and get this all organized and get it together, we have people that join us from Malaga and from other places, from Marbella, and lots and lots of people from our village, because we have around 150 people that are involved in the theater, and in being making all this happen. And we feel very proud of having got this far, and making sure that the way we dress is as appropriate as possible. And so we're very proud of having got this far, and being able to do this every year to honor Bernardo de Galvez and what he did.
And that is a very particular point. We're going to be delving into that history, but we had at least one question come up. Meyer Justin asking, Galveston named after Bernardo Galvez, and do you believe that is accurate?
That is accurate.
Yeah.
So that's not even just something that you can see only on celebrations such as this. And again, this is the historical painting of the gentleman here, Bernardo Galvez, but the history does continue on. It can be seen every day there. So we understand that you got to get back to your celebrations or preparations there, and Katie. Do appreciate.
We are actually mentioning, now you mentioned Galveston, we are sister cities with Galveston since the end of, it was November 2019, just before like everything, the world comes to stop. We became sister cities with them, and we have been sister cities with Pensacola in Florida since 2012. And well, I'm going to try and rely on Martha here to give us a hand. Maybe we could become in the future sister cities with El Paso.
Absolutely, Katie. We would love that.
Share our history with them as well. So it would be fantastic for us.
You're definitely going to find me in support of such an idea of sharing the history. So greatly appreciate it. And thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us in the middle of, again, your preparations, your celebrations, having to even just putting on that kind of regalia, I imagine takes an amount of time. So thank you for taking time out of all of that.
It does.
All right.
Okay, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to be with you guys today, and fantastic. And thank you very much. And even though it's just a couple of days before, but happy 4th of July to everyone, and Viva Galvez.
Viva Galvez.
Happy 4th of July to you as well. Thank you very much.
And we'll be watching on Facebook.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much there.
Goodbye, and thank you.
All right, appreciate it. Again, that there was the Deputy Mayor of Machado Villaya, Spain, Katie Hallibone. And again, that's her picture up there. Why we've been popping that up? Because the celebrations that happen for the 4th of July around the world, because of the contributions and the history baked into it. And again, a lot of that originating from this area as well. We're going to be delving more into that history. And again, we've just barely touched the base on it. So going to be checking more on that. Have to check in with some of the comments here as well. Henrietta Martinez Christmas, who will be checking with us a little bit later, also on the line with us, appreciating the show. George Sine saying you're also loving local history and listening to the show here, as well as Dale Hansen from Schertz, Texas, Roberto Corral Jr., tuning in, and then Daniel Lehman from Tucson, West Valley City, Utah, with Maria and Barragan, Angie Salazar from Pueblo West, Colorado, Alameda, California, Mark Morales, Larry Kendrick up in Las Cruces, and Northeast El Paso. So all points near and far represented pretty well so far here today. And again, joining us in studio, we do have Martha Vera, Honorary Consul of Spain in El Paso. We're going to be talking more about those connections, that history, and a whole lot more. Also going to be joined by Carlos Moreno, board member of the history organization Heroes de Cavite Amigos of Hispanic Heritage USA. So talking more about that after this next break here on the El Paso History Radio Show on News Radio 690 KTSM.
El Paso History TV is now available for free on YouTube.com. Take a look at recent ABC7 news reports by Bernie Sargent on El Paso History TV about Waco tanks, the Franklin Mountains, Concordia Cemetery, and more. The YouTube channel also has more than 100 videos about El Paso history with lectures, documentaries, and various history clips. Go to youtube.com/El Paso History TV and find out how Texas history begins in El Paso. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina serves the old Griggs Mexican food recipes in a new location at 6761 Donovan Drive. Enjoy great New Mexican food with cold beer and the Juan and only margarita from the cantina. The managers and cooks from the original Griggs restaurant serve tacos, combination plates, and sopapillas. Get the best Mexican food in the valley at Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina, 6761 Donovan, near Loop 375. Call 877-2152.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code GOLD for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's promo code GOLD. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code GOLD for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's code GOLD for a $5 bonus.
Attention weekend gardeners, don't let insect pests destroy your hard work. Fight back with Maggie's Farm, created by pest control professionals. Maggie's Farm plant and mineral-based products provide amazingly effective insect control, like our 3-in-1 garden spray for organic gardening. Deadly on garden insects, but safe to use around children and pets. Maggie's Farm, lethal to bugs, easy on the planet. Now, for a limited time, get a free box of our patented no-spill ant kill bait stations with purchase at greenbugkiller.com. That's greenbugkiller.com.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, beat the largest timeshare company in federal court and has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-408-4040. That's 800-408-4040.
The uh-ohs are out there. Scratches, dents, unexpected natural events. But with Mako and their magic, your car is no longer tragic. So when life throws you uh-ohs, just say,
better get Mako.
And go to Mako.com to book your appointment today.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed. Oh, yeah? Yeah, he's starting with the woots. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Attention weekend gardeners, don't let insect pests destroy your hard work. Fight back with Maggie's Farm, created by pest control professionals. Maggie's Farm plant and mineral-based products provide amazingly effective insect control, like our 3-in-1 garden spray for organic gardening. Deadly on insects, but safe to use around children and pets. Or for really hard to kill bugs, try our new beetle and box elder bug killer. Maggie's Farm, lethal to bugs, easy on the planet. Look for Maggie's Farm at Walmart, Menards, or at maggiesfarmproducts.com.
Are you ready for summer? Wherever summer takes you, make sure you take your favorite radio station with you on your adventures with the free iHeartRadio app. That's right, no matter how far from home you travel, this station, the music you love, and the best podcasts in the world will be right there with you in your pocket.
Summer soundtrack.
Sunscreen, flip-flops, and the free iHeart app. Must-haves for any summer checklist. Download the free iHeartRadio app and discover music, radio, and podcasts you'll love this summer.
iHeartRadio. News Radio 690 KTSM.
And now, let's turn back the pages of time and return to the El Paso History Radio Show. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-588-1850. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, 6761 Donovan Drive. By M1EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino, with El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gift shopping. Here again, El Paso History with Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for the El Paso History Radio Show, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM, talking about the July 4th holiday, Independence Day, the cause of American independence, and the both Spanish and Spanish colonial contributions coming from this area to it. Got to tell you about a couple other things of our partners in history in the area and promoting it. Of course, Celebration of Our Mountains is a great organization for really getting out there and experiencing it directly, both the natural and modern history of the area in its own way. Specifically, they got a visit coming up this next weekend to War Eagles Air Museum. Going to be happening out there in Santa Teresa, and a whole lot more, even visiting some of the important facilities for our modern area, including some of the processing plants and the way our water system works. So again, celebrationofourmountains.org is the place to find them and find everything that they're talking about. They've got a whole list of events going through the end of the year here already, including for more of the outdoorsy type and hikes. They got Fossils of Mount Cristo Rey coming up in September, as well as Black Mountain, Fossils on Our Walls, and Kilburn Hole all the way into November. So check them out again, celebrationofourmountains.org. And of course, our friends over at Monterey Asset Management, their name has changed. So if you're looking for them, the place you need to find them now is m1ep.com, because they are now known as M1EP Management Corporation. So that's M1ep.com, the place to find them there. If you're tired of the stock market rat race, they can help you look at property investment and property management. Again, 915-592-4549. That's 915-592-4549 or M1EP.com. But still joined here in studio by Martha Vera, Honorary Consul of Spain in El Paso. And now joining us via phone, we now have on the line here Carlos Medina, board member of the of many historical organizations, and both a U.S. and Spanish citizen living in Malaga, Spain. So thank you very much for being another one of our transcontinental callers here today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely happy to do so, because talking about this history and, again, its contribution and recognition across the world is just one of the more fascinating aspects I never really knew about before we even started putting together this program to a certain extent. But the history that led to this, because there may be varying degrees of accuracy depending on how many times people have seen movies like The Patriot, but there were a lot of different contributions going on to the cause of American independence. It was revolutionary in many senses of the word. So just give us a little bit of a sense, if you can, of why Spain was even involved in this conflict. Because sure, people may think like, okay, Spain, France, Britain, never exactly close friends, sometimes allies of necessities, but often directly in competition and often in conflict, literal, with each other. But one of the things that I think people miss a lot is that sure, the focus is on the East Coast during the American Revolution time period, but that if you zoom out a little bit, and we kind of got a map here that is focused mostly on the 13 colonies, but if you, look at the rest of that map there, essentially everything outside of the immediate conflict areas, what was controlled by France and England in contention here, was the rest of the continent was essentially Spain.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, and Spain is the one that is being overlooked. Typically tends to be overlooked, and I think that's the key. So it's very important to look at the map at the time in order to understand the geopolitical game that was at stake at the time. The Spanish Louisiana, for example, was at that time, at the time of the Independence War, happened to be ruled by Spain. Mm-hmm. So it was for a short period of time, but it was ruled by Spain at that time. So we're talking about a situation where New Spain, from that went from so New California was Spain, all the way down to Argentina, mm-hmm. all the way down to South America. All mid-America, Central America, it was Spanish completely. We're talking about, what it is now, Mexico, Guatemala, Peru, mm-hmm. of course, Argentina, Chile, of course, and all the Spanish-speaking territories. And that was rule under one command. So it was a formidable force that couldn't be ignored. Actually, if we read of the letters of George Washington himself, he is very concerned with the outcome of the war before Spanish gets into play. So he's very concerned, and he expresses very specific about he doesn't believe that, especially at sea, that mm-hmm. the French, they're going to be enough force to counterpart the British, who were one of the most formidable naval forces. But Spain was probably the best, alongside with the British. We're going to say, but probably one of the most powerful one of the times. So when Spain comes to play, George Washington speaks. And one of his letters, writing to John Sullivan, one of his letters that we can read as public access, and he declares the Spain like decisive, like a
mm-hmm.
key and decisive actor in the war, and he celebrates very very with joy. So we can read that. So when this is George Washington himself who kind of calibrates the weight of Spain. But when we look at the map again, Spain has the interest of taking over the entire territory. Mm-hmm. And like the United States of America, they're in the corner. So this is an opportunity to have a league with the colonies and attract them to their side. We know that the outcome was not what Spain expected at the end of the day, but mm-hmm. that was the plan.
So yeah, the table and the setting of here and the level of conflict was important here. And Martha, we were talking a little bit about it in the previous segments here about, essentially the regional contributions to all of this, because it makes sense that essentially, again, colonial rivals had interest in, while essentially kind of a kicking them while they're down thing, or, tripping them over while they're distracted otherwise here, as often was happening here. And the American Revolution on the global scale presented quite the distraction for all of the rivals of, the United Kingdom at that point, or Great Britain at that point in time. So locally, this was not, again, something that was just totally missed out on, because, again, regionally, we talk about the collection, but there was also even more contributions going on, both money and materiel, right?
Right. There's money, material, cattle, clothing, muskets, food, other foodstuffs, seeds to plant. So there was quite a lot going through here, and going through the Mississippi too. So they actually, Bernardo de Galvez was actually able to block the British so that all of that food could actually go there quicker. Here we were running cattle up. So it's really amazing. All of those bags of money that were going to pay all of the mercenaries. They also went to pay French naval officers, so that the Spanish money paid the colonists. They paid militias. They paid the natives, as well as all slaves and people that actually became free once they joined Spain. So everyone was fighting together. England was very worried about Spain's relationship with the natives, because they had a very, very strong bond. And so England was trying to break that bond, because only in doing so, in dividing everyone, would England be able to take over the property, because they already had land grants.
Right. I mean, there were very, again, the colonial implications that came with all of this were very important. And just one way I think that people may be more familiar with the Spanish influence in Louisiana would be actually in the way that the Louisiana Purchase came about. Because frankly, the way it's often portrayed in American textbooks is as, something happened in Europe and France suddenly got Louisiana, as missing the whole Napoleon guy and what he was doing over there. Because, I mean, that's how that was still impacting it at that point in time. But it was up until that point, basically, that there was still the French ambition coming in, but the Spanish possession of that land here. But there's one particular battle that we've been talking about a bit here, and one that, again, primarily features Bernardo de Galvez, and that was the Battle of, Pensacola. So what can you tell us a little bit about that there, Carlos?
Well, the Battle of Pensacola, it is the most famous battle that Bernardo de Galvez led, and it is very legendary or very epic in the way it happened, because in order to get into the Bay of Pensacola, the fleet was very concerned that there wasn't enough, it wasn't deep enough to go into there. So what happened is that Bernardo de Galvez led literally. So he ordered to have his ship to go into the bay to show everybody, because everybody was too concerned that it was possible, it was deep enough to go. And so he earned the badge Yo Solo, which is his famous motto, which means like I alone, because he was very brave. So this is kind of the folkloric or the catchy thing, but it was very key because by defeating the British troops based on the bay, he controlled the Mississippi River, and that's the bottom line of it. That's the key. So what Spain contributed was by controlling, besides all the money, all the men, and all the logistics, and before that with intelligence. So that's a different chapter. Before the war, there was a big deal of intelligence going on. Like Luis Gonzaga is a big part. So that's a different chapter that deserves to be talked about. But by the military aspects of it, it was definitely was key because that ultimately controlled the Mississippi for the Spanish. So what happened is that means that that was the backside of the area of the land controlled by the British, and so that was key strategically. Plus, logistic wise, they could send a lot of supplies by using the river.
Again, one of the best ways that I have come to think about this, and that at least backed up, but why I've read it anyway, is that sure, there was a majority of the conflict happening and from the American textbook styles in the actual land battles and, the different forces going on. I mean, we've popped up some of the pictures such as, the surrender of Lord Cornwallis at Yorktown there to George Washington, and sometimes represented essentially in popular media as the French fleet essentially pinned him down here. But larger writ that it was truly those allies that essentially kept Britain from at any point really exercising the full might on the American colonies by keeping them pinned in other areas, allowing the progress of American Revolution, though there was also often then direct contribution on, the American continent, the Battle of Pensacola, as we have that great dramatic painting of the victory of there and the raising of the Spanish flag at the time there. But really it was those efforts both continentally and around the world that allowed essentially the colonists the room to do the maneuvering they have, because particularly some of the early stories about Yorktown or actually of Valley Forge was not looking good. And there's a phrase that often I think about in these terms is that God protects children, drunks, and the United States of America, because there was an incredible amount of luck that had to happen to allow a lot of these things, and a whole lot of people and or allies doing some very important things to allow it to happen.
Absolutely, and that's key. What you just said, like a lot of the, all these ships, the main force was coming from Havana. That was so everything was all the ships were led to south and east coast to keep in British busy. So Yorktown, while Yorktown happened, and so the Spaniards were, or the Hispanics or the Spanish, they were contributing with money so that to the French. So a lot of the money was given to the French and the rebels, as it has been said, but also to the French in order to be successful and to win Yorktown.
Absolutely. So there's a lot more that we need to talk about here, but we got to take that next break right now. Again, joining us there on the phone, that's Carlos Merino, a board member of the history organization Heroes de Cavite, and a whole lot more. So stay tuned for more on that. And again, still joining us here in studio, Martha Vera, Honorary Consul of Spain in El Paso. We'll delve more into this and more of those contributions and other aspects after this break, with more on the El Paso History Radio Show here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
Many retired El Paso area homeowners don't know where to begin when it comes to downsizing and selling their home. Patrick Tuttle and his legacy home team follow a proven process to help retired homeowners sell faster and for more money. Call Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850 today and get your home sold faster and for more money. That's Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850. Call him today.
The king of the jungle is surveying his domain. A crowd of hyenas has gathered nearby. He's putting on a guitar.
Take a rock on the wild side at Rock and Roar Music Festival. Rock and Roar Music Festival is July 2nd at the El Paso Zoo with 35 acres and 2 stages of music. This all-ages event includes a silent disco, arcade games, food and beer, and much more. For tickets, visit elpasozooSociety.org. Rock and Roar Music Festival, having a roaring good time.
iHeartRadio Earth is here with little tips for a healthier planet.
This spring, you can share your own observations about nature with scientists and play a critical role in scientific discovery by adding to their data collection. Discover more about citizen science programs such as monitoring weather, observing plants and animals, and more. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth.
M1EP.com. Superior multifamily property management services citywide.
The 4th of July deals are heating up at Lowe's. Protect your garden soil all season long with Scott's Naturescapes mulch, 3 for $10. Lowe's, home to any possibility. Valid 6/23 through 7/6 while supplies last. Selection varies by location, excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
Because everyone deserves excellent medical care, El Paso has its own free community medical clinic. RotoCare is a free walk-in clinic located at 301 South Schutz Drive and is devoted to improving the health of all El Pasoans, including those without insurance or legal documentation. RotoCare is open most Saturdays from 9 a.m. to noon. For more information, call 790-0700. RotoCare, because everyone deserves excellent medical care.
Stay tuned and stay informed with News Radio 690, KTSM, an iHeart radio station.
So I'm a dog, and I just got adopted by this new human guy, and I'm starting to wonder how he got along without me. I mean, okay, something as simple as walking around the block. He's got this leash thing, and he puts me on one end and him on the other, and I'm just taking him around. I think he's afraid of getting lost. Without that leash and me guiding him along, I don't think he'd find his way back home. But it's kind of cute.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
News Radio 690, KTSM El Paso.
And now, let's turn back the pages of time and return to the El Paso History Radio Show. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate. 915-588-1850. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, 6761 Donovan Drive. By M1 EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino, with El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gift shopping. Here again, El Paso History with Andrew J. Polk.
Some other things we want to mention to you all, of course, talkandrockradio.com with Rick Kern, music podcast there. There's some very interesting aspects of history and musical history of our area that they focus on to. Again, find their latest edition, talkandrockradio.com, all spelled out. And I got to tell you, of course, about Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, because they have done some great work for our family. We actually just closed on a house with him and the assistance of them, and we'll tell you more about that in future shows here, because it was actually all the nightmares you may have heard about the home buying process right now, literally smoothed it all out for us. So we'll talk more about that, but you can give them a call to find out about what they've got for yourself at 915-588-1850, 915-588-1850. An excellent realtor for about Paso homes for sale or rent and property management. So find them all again on that 915-588-1850. But again, joined here in studio by Martha Vera, Honorary Consul of Spain in El Paso, and still on the line here, we do have Carlos Marino. But tell you what, Carlos, we're going to have to take that next break already. We're running out of time for this segment. So coming out of this next segment at the top of the hour break, we're going to talk more about the global nature of the conflict, particularly about Gibraltar, and then some of the regional contributions and how that happened to this. So stay tuned for more on the El Paso History Radio Show here on News Radio 690 KTSM, and a whole lot more. And just as a reminder, we will be going out to Pepe's a little bit later today, but they will be closed the next week, but we'll be out there today. So stay tuned for more on the El Paso History Radio Show after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
Thank you for listening to the El Paso History Radio Show. There's another hour to go, so please stay tuned. This hour is brought to you by Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, home of the Juan and only margarita. By Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-588-1850. By M1 EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino, with El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gift shopping. We'll be right back after the news, right here on News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Traffic's bad enough without Mother Nature adding to your headache. Traffic and weather all day. Stay informed with El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Hey, El Paso, Ivan Ochoa, General Manager of Sunland Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. We make car buying fast, fun, and easy. And due to high demand, we need trades. So we'll do whatever it takes to get you out of your old vehicle into a new car, truck, or SUV today.
Even if you owe thousands more than your trade is worth, we want it, so you can get huge savings on every new and certified pre-owned vehicle in our huge inventory. For a limited time, get $4,000 off MSRP on the all-new 2022 full-size Wagoneer SUV with third-row seating and up to $7,000 off select new Ram trucks. Super low 2.9% APR for 72 months on the all-new 2022 Dodge Charger. All military personnel and all first responders receive an additional discount. Thank you for your service. Trade and upgrade for less during the Make the Switch event at Sunland Park Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Where buying a car is fun. At I-10 at Sunland Park Drive or online at sunlandparkdodge.com. Estamos en tu esquina El Paso Strong. Includes factory rebate and dealer discount plus TTNL. 2.9% APR is $15.15 per thousand finance on select vehicles. 0 down with approved credit. Offers not combined.
Stay informed at KTSMradio.com.
NBC News Radio, I'm Julie Ryan. Americans flying or driving this 4th of July weekend have plenty of company. AAA expects nearly 48 million people will travel 50 miles or more over the holiday. That's up nearly 4% from last year. The Auto Club says over 3.5 million of those travelers will be flying to their destination. Flight delays and cancellations are piling up for holiday travelers. Tom Costello gives tips for air travelers.
Watch your flight schedules. Make sure you aren't being rebooked. Watch your app on your phone to see what the airlines have planned for you.
The number of delays within, into, or out of the U.S. stands at just over 1,400 today alone. Over 400 flights have been canceled on Saturday. The airport facing the most issues is Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. Minnesota police say they've recovered a second child's body at Vadnais Lake in what they believe may be a triple murder-suicide. Officials say the boy's mother and one of her other children are still missing. Another child's body was recovered earlier on Friday. The woman's car and the children's shoes have been spotted near the lake. Ramsey County Sheriff Bob Fletcher said they don't know yet where the mother is, but they're treating this as a potential triple homicide. All of the children appear to be under 5 years old. The nation's largest 4th of July fireworks celebration is getting ready to light up the New York skyline. The 46th annual Macy's 4th of July fireworks display will use 5 barges in the East River to launch more than 48,000 shells and effects. The spectacle will feature new effects like blinking smiley faces, scattering stars, and whistling jellyfish. The musical score will showcase patriotic songs by the U.S. Army Field Band and Soldier Chorus. The Mega Millions jackpot is getting bigger. California lottery officials say no one picked all 6 numbers in last night's drawing. That means Tuesday's jackpot will be worth $370 million. You're listening to the latest on NBC News Radio.
Monsoon season continues with showers and storms in the forecast each and every afternoon. We'll talk about below average temperatures for the upcoming weekend, followed by an uptick in showers and storms for the 4th. From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Kira Miner.
Make this the year you go to our iHeartRadio Music Festival.
Tickets are on sale now at AXS.com.
iHeartRadio, let's go! A weekend full of superstar performances, never seen before collaboration, and once-in-a-lifetime moments you'll have to see to believe.
Friday, September 23rd and Saturday the 24th at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas.
Our 2022 iHeartRadio Music Festival.
Buy your tickets now at AXS.com.
The El Paso History Show with Andrew J. Polk is 10 a.m. this Saturday with the latest in the space race from Chris Orwell, Executive Director of the New Mexico Museum of Space History. The El Paso History Show is sponsored by Patrick Tuttle Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant in Cañutillo, Mission Del Rey Southwest for gifts and decor, and by M1EP Management Corporation, Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on News Radio 690. And streaming live on Facebook and YouTube.
Are you suffering through the summer with high energy bills and a home that never cools down? The Get It Right Solar Show can show you how to save money with a Lumio solar system. the best panels at the best price, and you will receive a free generator when you install a new solar system with Lumio Solar. Call right now, 866-326-1935. That's 866-326-1935. And join us this Saturday at 9 a.m. to learn more on the Get It Right Solar Show.
Selling your home doesn't have to be filled with drama or having to pay hidden fees. Hey, your friend Sean Hannity here to tell you, as an active investor, I firmly believe in working with the smartest local agents who sell homes in high volume. Prepare your home to create the most demand when it does go on the market to sell for the highest price. And don't fill your life with drama while you wait for your home to sell. When I want to know what's happening, there's only one agent I call. I'm talking about Brian Birds, brokered by eXp Realty. Now, Brian services the entire El Paso area and attracts new homes, which gets you early access to great homes before they hit the market. Now, he has so many buyers, he allows you to establish a deadline and a price acceptable to you. So if that deadline passes and your home is not sold, he will buy your home. Don't believe the myth that all agents market the same way. Talk to the agent that I trust for the best advice in El Paso. Call Brian Birds right now at 751-1500 or online at brianbirds.com. That's brianbirds, BURDS.com.
M1EP.com. Superior multifamily property management services citywide.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
News Radio 690 KTSM presents the second hour of the El Paso History Radio Show with your host, Andrew J. Polk, streaming live at KTSMradio.com. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-588-1850. By Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, home of the Juan and only margarita. By M1EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino, for El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gift shopping. And now El Paso History with your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for the El Paso History Radio Show, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. Start of hour 2 of the program here, as we usually do. Going to be having a history moment from El Paso documentary history producer and filmmaker Jackson Polk. We have today the one about some of the early history of the Asarco Smelter here in the region.
The first smelter in Texas was built in El Paso in the 1880s on land that was then out of town. Eventually, the land became El Paso's west side, and the smelter became the American industrial giant named Asarco. The very first structure at the smelter, the Adobe Administration Building, was built in 1887. Today, it is the very last building standing from a smelter that once covered more than 100 acres. At its peak, the smelter employed 1,200 men who worked round-the-clock shifts. It was hot and difficult work. Back then, workers' homes were mixed in with ore piles and railroad switching yards. The Smeltertown Catholic Church was originally built on the edge of the property, but it was moved to make way for more smelting operations. You can still see parts of the church's foundation along Donovan Drive. For decades, the Asarco Smelter was a backbone of the El Paso economy, and its workers were paid well. But it closed in 1999 when copper prices fell. The company went into bankruptcy, and the smelter never reopened. Demolition began in 2010 as the smelter's gigantic metal and concrete buildings were torn down one by one. In the next history moment, details on the rise and fall of the iconic landmark, the 828-foot tall Asarco smokestack. I'm Jackson Polk for the El Paso History Radio Show.
Yeah, that whole story is a fascinating one. Got to go all over that site during the demolition process and just before. But of course, we got to talk about some of our further great partners in history and helping us promote these things, including where we are up live right now on the great Facebook page, Remember in El Paso When, and Barbara Givenbaney, operator of the page there. You can go there for archive pictures galore and a lot of stories, some interesting ones being posted up recently about, well, things related to both our topics and some other ones, such as a undated photo, an unknown place photo of where Pancho Villa visited another site in El Paso. But if you want to visit that, remember, please, if you're going to share their photos, give them credit because they work very hard on them. As again, Chief Admin, Owner, and Historian Barbara Givenbaney, affectionately known as BGB. Also admins Rick Duncan, Rick Nahara, and Margaret D. Smith, and Ben Vincent. appreciate all their work to do. They're always looking for a little bit more assistance. If you want to find out what you can do to be a part of that great experience, find them again. Remember in El Paso when on Facebook, more than 33,000 members and a very well curated page there here. But of course, joined back here in studio by Martha Vera, Honorary Consul of Spain in El Paso. And again, calling in still by phone here, we do have Carlos Merino calling in. You're in Spain as well, right?
Yes, I on IATIS in Spain after living for 11 years in Minneapolis. So I'm right now speaking from the land of the hometown of Bernardo de Galvez, Malaga.
Exactly. So again, we got transnational implications for a lot of the stuff we're talking about here today. And again, we have the picture of the gentleman in question here. And Bernardo de Galvez, one of the more celebrated persons of this, but I just wanted to put a little bit further in perspective how everything going on with the conflict and the struggle for American independence was very much participated by and further expanded upon in their own ways by the European allies, French and Spanish, particularly in focus here today. And there's actually a very one of the historical pictures of it, because a lot of people, they may have, we've been popping up that picture of the surrender at the Battle of Yorktown here, or other similar scenes that people may be familiar with from like the Battle of Bunker Hill and some of the deaths of generals and the surrenders there. But this conflict throughout all of it, 1776 was just the beginning, essentially. And the conflict itself, at least in the continental U.S., went on until 1780. But there were even other parts over 1781, actually. Like we have this picture of one of the sallies of the garrison at Gibraltar that happened in 1782 until then finally a further peace agreement was signed there. So that's just kind of a snapshot, literally in this case, or a snap painting, I guess you could say, of the global nature of this conflict and how all the contributions that happened, including here, because this was not part, of course, of the United States, not even in existence at that time, but not even anywhere near it. And it would be easy for people to maybe mistake the idea that therefore it had nothing to do with it, because all of these connections really were pretty strong and very important at that point in time.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of consequences of the conflict and the independence war, and of course, this had an echo in Europe. Mm-hmm. I as a board member of the Héroes de Cavite and also Amigos of Hispanic Heritage, mm-hmm. Which I encourage everybody who's listening to check out our growing YouTube page. We're trying to add some light to these issues. Personally, I'm not a historian myself, but our job is to learn from historians who are speakers and they give us lectures in order to learn this history is often hidden. So about the topic that you're asking right now, I'm not the person really to discuss that, I feel. Okay. But I really wanted to highlight kind of what the Bernardo de Galvez was, because I'm a citizen of the U.S., so of Spanish origin, and I feel that all Hispanics, we have a duty in a way. We are called out to know more about the implications of our roots in the history of our country, of the U.S. So that's where I'm coming from. So maybe Martha want to jump in on the subject of Gibraltar.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the Rock of Gibraltar, famous in its own right here, and just again, a snapshot of the nature of what was going on in this conflict here, because, well, I mean, it's still a British enclave to this day, more or less, as a consequence of that situation.
Right, because Spain lost Gibraltar.
Sorry, no, Martha, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that Spain had lost Gibraltar to Britain.
Yeah, they had lost it there. And so, I mean, again, that's still why it's one of the weirdest airports in the world, seeing how it works there, because it's crammed in. And so, I mean, again, that those consequences continue. But of course, we focus a lot on them, on what happened in the continental U.S., but just the zooming out of it and changing the focus ever so slightly to give a better example. And of course, we were talking about the celebrations that were going on over in your neck of the woods there, Carlos. And we had some of the pictures up in the first hour, but also, of course, the celebrations going on today with y'all, or this evening for you all, this night actually coming up for it, because it's getting to that point for y'all. This is one of the posters from the celebrations going on in your area today.
absolutely. It is a lot of fun. We are having like American food. We're having the anthem is going to be sung at this little town in Malaga, which is amazing to think about it. The recreation and the effort that all the neighbors and everybody who's living at this small town they're putting there is wonderful with all the costumes and the celebration of this connection, this amazing connection that we didn't know about, until very recently we didn't know, and the roots go really deep. I mean, the Galvez family kind of expanded. They come from this small town of our 400 neighbors, 400 people, and the roots and the implication with the United States is just really hard to believe if it wasn't because it's so well documented. But not only Bernardo de Galvez, but his brother-in-law was already doing intelligence in the U.S. As I mentioned before, his uncle was like the governor of Spain and America, so he was the second most powerful people and person after the king at the day. So he managed to put this family in historical and a strategic spot in order to contribute to the independence of the U.S. Yeah, and of course this has a long way to this family and this connection to this small town.
Absolutely, and those connections are some of the more important parts of this, because it was. We've talked a lot about the kind of the very kind of almost 30,000 foot view of why were these other contributions happening outside of the history that is pretty well known, I feel like, nationally at this point, of why American independence was going on, but why the joining in was happening. But some of those regional contributions, again, something you're mentioning about the organizations that you're a part of, the Héroes de Cavite and Amigos of Hispanic Heritage USA, because there were we talked a little about some of the collections going on, the material support, but the reasons that they were actually further moving on, I mean, you have a little bit of information about some of the individuals involved in that, right?
Yes, there are surprising facts that make you go deeper, like make you wonder what happened, And I'm, as I said, as an individual, we are just scratching the surface. So there is so much that is actually coming out until very recently. As I don't know if it was what brought earlier, but we know that. The name of the United States was originally written in Spanish for the first time, and it wasn't discovered until very recently just because it was misfiled. It was just put in the wrong file just because of typo. So this was very overlooked by both sides, not only in the U.S. but also in Spain. Things are coming out very recently. I mean, this is very widely, unfortunately, not very popular. It's not common knowledge in Spain. So things are a lot of documentation is coming out because there are new researchers and they're looking into the archives. And so that was the reason that we knew, for example, that Los Estados Unidos Americanos, it was written, or the American United States, that was the name that George Washington took after Luis Gonzaga, right? So that fact, for example, is very recent, and we're knowing it right now. Or, for example, like there are descendants of the participation of the indigenous people and indigenous descendant people in the American Independence War. And we know we have this general who is descendant of Moctezuma, which was the Tlatoani, or the king, so to speak, of the Aztec Mexica Empire, Emperor Moctezuma II, who became part of the Spanish kind of royalty. They, after the victory of the taking over the Aztec Empire, the Aztec nobility was part of the Spanish monarchy, the Spanish royalty, and the descendants were involved in the Spanish history. So we know that Jerónimo Girón Moctezuma was descendant of the Emperor Moctezuma, direct descendant. He took part of Mobile, He was and the American Revolution. So he was like working side to side with Galvez, and many descendants of, for example, this family has an important role in Hispanic history, and sometimes that we something that we don't know broadly. For example, Don Juan de Oñate, the explorer of New Mexico. He married Isabel de Tolosa Cortés de Moctezuma, which is the granddaughter of
great-granddaughter.
She was the great granddaughter of the Aztec Emperor Moctezuma, right? Yocoyotzin, So he was he was also the granddaughter of Hernan Cortés, the conquistador. We have this history sparkle with this contribution of the indigenous who became Hispanic, and this is a wonderful mix that I didn't know about until very recently, and we are going to try to throw some light onto these contributions.
Absolutely, because it's a very important thing and helps define a little bit better even some of the region and our history of the region better. So again, that right there, Carlos Merino, board member of the history organization Héroes de Cavite and Amigos of Hispanic Heritage USA, also joined here in studio by Martha Vera, Honorary Consul of Spain in El Paso. We're going to talk more about this, including, we kind of touched on a little bit, but I want to get a little bit further into that name of the United States of America there and that letter here. So we got to take that next break right now. So coming out of this break, more on that. So stay tuned for more on the El Paso History Radio Show here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
M1 EP Management Corporation is proud to sponsor the El Paso History Show. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, invest in real estate. M1 EP manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. See the website, m1ep.com. M1ep.com. To learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation of investing in real estate, call 915-592-4549. 915-592-4549. El Paso History TV is now available for free on YouTube.com. Take a look at recent ABC 7 news reports by Bernie Sargent on El Paso History TV about Waco tanks, the Franklin Mountains, Concordia Cemetery, and more. The YouTube channel also has more than 100 videos about El Paso history with lectures, documentaries, and various history clips. Go to youtube.com/El Paso History TV and find out how Texas history begins in El Paso.
While the world bickers over why prices are so high, you drift on over to your happy place. We've got your shot at $1,000 with Inflation Vacation. Listen every hour from 9 a.m. through 5 p.m. weekdays for your chance to win $1,000.
Bank for Your Tank is brought to you by the El Paso Zoo Society. Take a rock on the wild side. Rock and Roar Music Festival, July 2nd at the El Paso Zoo. 2 music stages, a silent disco, arcade games, and so much more. Get tickets at elpasozoosociety.org.
Look at all the people here.
It's great that they have festivals here at the zoo.
Want to get something to eat?
Yeah, okay.
Get down to El Paso Zoo on July 2nd for the Rock and Roar Music Festival, a family event over 35 acres with different genres of music throughout the zoo, with a silent disco, animal encounters, games, a vendor market, and food and drinks. Get tickets now at elpasozoosociety.org. That's elpasozoosociety.org. Rock and Roar!
Illegal dumping, it's garbage, and it's costing everybody in El Paso, especially when trash is dumped in stormwater dams, channels, and even canals. That blocks drainage, which can lead to flooding or worse. But it can be prevented. Together, we can solve this problem by disposing of waste at proper sites and reporting illegal dumpers in the act. Let's take pride in El Paso. Call 311 to report illegal dumping and visit don'ttrashep.com to learn more.
Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Elizabeth Warren, they're all attacking America's tech innovators. The left's bill, S2992, would take away the digital tools small businesses rely on, empower China to beat America in the race for new technologies, and increase the risk of cyber attacks. When liberals attack America's tech innovators, they're really attacking everyday Americans and Main Street businesses. American jobs, America's security, and the online privacy of the American people are all on the line. Why would Senate conservatives support this liberal agenda that threatens American innovation? We need to stop Pelosi, Schumer, Warren, and the rest of the D.C. liberals from taking away our technology and making China stronger at America's expense. Call the U.S. Senate today at 202-224-3121. Tell Senate Republicans to oppose S-2992. ProtectingTaxpayers.org, paid for and authorized by Taxpayers Protection Alliance.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
And now, let's turn back the pages of time and return to the El Paso History Radio Show. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-588-1850. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, 6761 Donovan Drive. By M1 EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino, with El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gift shopping. Here again, El Paso History with Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for the El Paso History Radio Show, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. Got to tell you about, of course, what we got coming up for you on the next show. We're going to be having on Chris Olwall, Executive Director of the New Mexico Museum of Space History, checking with him about, of course, some of the recent history developments, you might say, as well as some of the events they got coming up for you and their continued focus on all those aspects. In fact, they got a lot coming up this weekend. Just to mention to you, they've got their Big Bang Festival going on, starting, well, actually just a little while ago, and going through this evening today at the Otero County Fairgrounds, as well as they are going to be doing their fireworks on July 4th from the Museum of Space History. So maybe don't go straight to the site, but gather around it, as they will be having the fireworks for the city of Alamogordo up there from their location on the 4th itself here. So we'll be talking further with him. Also, one more great sponsor to remind you about, Mission Del Rey Southwest. Go there for everything that you want for the flavor, literally and figuratively, of the Southwest. Every time I go in there and look around, I'm often surprised by what else is out there and available, including, well, they've got some great shirts. They've got some great food. Local products abound there. So if you're looking for something, I would think, basic looking sarapes and those kind of decorative items. So whole couches, wall art pieces, everything. And again, local products and food and such. All of that, again, you can find them at missiondelrey.com, or again, visit their 12,000 square foot showroom on Lee Trevino. Find, again, the information, missiondelrey.com, and mention the El Paso History Radio Show for a discount. For more details as well, you can give them a call at 915-440-2140. That's 915-440-2140. So joined here back in studio, as we are today, by Martha Vera, Honorary Consul of Spain in El Paso, and still on the line with us here, we do have Carlos Marino, board member of this history organization, Heroes de Cavite. Carlos, thanks for sticking around with us.
Hey, thank you for having me again.
Absolutely. So we touched on it. You mentioned it there a bit, and Martha, I want to focus a little bit more on this. The idea of, I mean, some people may be familiar with the idea that the naming of the continents of America, coming out of the, Amerigo Vespucci and those kind of things, as the actual explorer credited with the actual finding of the continental U.S. But again, the naming of the actual United States of America, that letter, you have a little bit more detail on, right?
Yes.
So how did that come about?
Carlos, did you want to take that?
I mean, I can start if you.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah.
It's up to you. You want to go?
Sure. So Charles Lee writes a letter to Luis de Gonzaga, who at that time was the governor of New Orleans.
Mm.
He's actually transitioning to having Bernardo de Galvez become the governor of New Orleans. So he's almost on his way out. Bernardo de Galvez is coming in. He receives a letter asking for aid. And in his letter, he says, the 13 states of America are writing to ask you for aid. And so Luis de Gonzaga is now feeling very sentimental about the 13 colonies and about the rebels. Looks at them, and they have really become united. So in his letter, he responds, and he says, he calls them Los Estados Unidos de América. So that letter goes back, and he calls Charles Lee, who was not a general, writes it on the letter. So the letter is looked at. I mean, it's being taken up. it ends up on George Washington's desk for because it said general. So it goes there. And George Washington opens the letter. And the letter says, when he sees that they've been called the United States of America, he's thrilled. Everybody is ecstatic because now a dominant country recognizes the United States of America as a nation, as a group of states that have come together. And George Washington adopts that name.
So you're being a very foundational way in its own, but of course, there wasn't necessarily the requirement of Spain at that point in time to do it, because even strictly speaking, again, the map that we have there of representation of the East Coast and eastern half of the U.S., given that Spain had a lot of, again, everything that is west of this map as our cutoff there was essentially claimed or controlled by Spain. So then they could have very easily said that, well, we eventually want to have the rest of it too. We want to, close out the continent. So they could have said, like, yes, we support the rebels, but we don't recognize anything. So them actually recognizing it and recognizing the legitimacy of it was very important in its own way, and again led to more of it. Again, France coming in as well as all of the relations that came after that. Again, foundational is a very good way to put it in my mind.
Yes, it was foundational.
What are your thoughts on that, Carlos?
So I think that is very shocking, and I think it speaks for itself, the fact that the first time the United States of America was written was in Spanish. And so we're talking about that before even the war happened, there was intelligence helping out the rebels and on the side coming from Spain. We have to kind of put into context that Luis Gonzaga, who was a brother-in-law of Galvez, so everything goes around the same family, but he was very influential. He was he became the fourth head of the Spanish Louisiana. So he was also the captain of Venezuela, and he was also in charge of the Cuba, the area of Cuba. So he was a pioneer of free commerce in America. We have to remember also that the coin, the currency was Spanish. The dollar, before becoming a United States thing, it was a Spanish thing. Like the silver coming from America was kind of the key to control all the commerce there. The Hispanics had commerce with China. Like it was the other way around as it is today. Like China needed, had commerce with the rest of the world. We're talking about the Philippines. We're talking about America. We're talking about Europe. And they had commerce because of the currency was Spanish. We know that in Mexico City and in Peru, they had their own. They had their own currency. They made it in America. It was made in America, the currency. So before the tables were turned. So in this context, it was everything went through the Hispanics. The Hispanics at the time, you couldn't call them countries, but you can call them kingdoms. Right. But it happened through the Hispanic kingdoms or the Hispanic Empire, if you like. Everything is key in going through these characters. He was the president of New Orleans. I'm talking about Luis Gonzaga. He created one of the first, or the first in America, the first school, like bilingual or trilingual school, like Spanish, English, and French. He saw he was one of the first of seeing the need to support secretly all the colonies, the United States colony, the future United States colony. So before the massacre of Boston, he started to create this network of spies to get informed about everything that happened, such as like the Boston Tea issue, right? They were involved back then, and he was extraordinary diplomat. So he was in a way, and I'm quoting, this is Frank Cazorla and Rosa Baena, PhD, we're taking this information from. It's very recent. So they will consider him like a precursor of the CIA. It was like antecedent before the CIA, because of this network intelligence. So he has a very stretched relationship with the foundational fathers of the U.S. Constitution. So especially John Hancock, Patrick Henry. He is at the time the governor of the Spanish Louisiana, and at that time he's providing already not only with the logistic and intelligence, but like powder, blankets, all sanitary material, uniforms, everything through the Mississippi. Again, the Mississippi controlled by the Hispanics. It's key in the outcome again. So everything was under the Spanish. All these provisions were made under the Spanish flag, so the British wouldn't detect it. So definitely, we are talking about a foundational role in it, and it's really, I mean, it is shocking to even to come to terms to the fact that los Estados Unidos Americanos was written in Spanish. Like that kind of like changed kind of a little bit of the narrative, and of course it doesn't. That we have been told so far, and we have to like take things as they develop. But I think that people should know and at least hear about it and know to what extent this family and the Hispanics were foundational in the development of the U.S.
Absolutely. You're definitely going to find me in strong favor of having more talk and more discussion about the aspects of our history that may not be that focused on. Again, that is Carlos Medina, board member of the historic organization Héroes de Cavite and Amigos of Hispanic Heritage USA. Thank you very much for having joined us here to talk a bit about some of these connections, some of this history, and all as much as we can cram into here today.
Thank you very much, Andrew. A pleasure. Thank you for giving us the space and the voice.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you for calling in again all the way from Spain here today. Another one of our guests doing so, again, further strengthening that idea and those connections.
Thank you very much again. A pleasure. Looking forward to meeting again.
All right, absolutely. Thank you very much there. So again, we're going to be still joined here in studio, Martha Vera, Honorary Consul of Spain here, but also got to take that next break now. Going to be joined by Mrs. Henrietta Christmas from Albuquerque, calling from the Daughters of the American Revolution. So stay tuned for more here on the El Paso History Radio Show, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM.
Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina serves the old Griggs Mexican food recipes in a new location at 6761 Doniphan Drive. Enjoy great New Mexican food with cold beer and the Juan and only margarita from the cantina. The managers and cooks from the original Griggs restaurant serve tacos, combination plates, and sopapillas. Get the best Mexican food in the valley at Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina, 6761 Doniphan, near Loop 375. Call 877-2152.
Many retired El Paso area homeowners don't know where to begin when it comes to downsizing and selling their home. Patrick Tuttle and his Legacy Home team follow a proven process to help retired homeowners sell faster and for more money. Call Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850 today and get your home sold faster and for more money. That's Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850. Call him today.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code GOLD for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's promo code GOLD. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code GOLD for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's code GOLD for a $5 bonus.
Join the team fighting hunger in El Paso, the El Pasoans Fighting Hunger Food Bank.
Hi, I'm Susan Goodell, CEO of El Pasoans Fighting Hunger Food Bank. Right now, we're looking to build back our volunteer teams. We always need help. We continue to need your donations as each dollar provides 7 meals, and we're seeking your support as we advocate and develop new ways to serve our community. Remember, no one should go to bed hungry tonight or any night.
Donate, volunteer, advocate at ElPasoansFightingHunger.org.
M1EP.com. Superior multifamily property management services citywide.
iHeartRadio Earth is here with little tips for a healthier planet. Less than 1% of water on Earth is drinkable, and humans are using it faster than nature can replenish it. Reduce the amount of water you use in the bathroom by taking shorter showers and turning the water off while you brush your teeth. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth.
Attention weekend gardeners, don't let insect pests destroy your hard work. Fight back with Maggie's Farm. Created by pest control professionals, Maggie's Farm plant and mineral-based products provide amazingly effective insect control, like our 3-in-1 garden spray for organic gardening. Deadly on garden insects, but safe to use around children and pets. Maggie's Farm. Lethal to bugs, easy on the planet. Now, for a limited time, get a free box of our patented no-spill ant kill bait stations with purchase at greenbugkiller.com. That's greenbugkiller.com.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, beat the largest timeshare company in federal court and has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-408-4040. That's 800-408-4040.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
And now, let's turn back the pages of time and return to the El Paso History Radio Show. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-588-1850. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, 6761 Donovan Drive. By M1EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino, with El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gift shopping. Here again, El Paso History with Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for the El Paso History Radio Show, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. Our further partners in promoting and talking about our local history, El Paso Inc. This week, only in El Paso Inc. The leader of the Child Guidance Center sits down with El Paso Inc. to talk about how they are responding to the mental health crisis amongst children, why the FBI is asking for help from El Paso businesses as the agency fights cybercrime, and the first interview with the El Paso Chamber's newly named CEO. El Paso's business journal, El Paso Inc., is available for home or business delivery and online at elpasoinc.com. Again, joined here in studio by Martha Vera, Honorary Consul of Spain in El Paso, has been very helpful in talking about the subjects and in putting together all of this. I did not know enough people in Spain to have even a couple of phone calls here, but you helped put that together, so greatly appreciate that. And a lot of comments that have been coming in over online, including from Gary De Leon, appreciating the show so far, and saying that he hopes that Henrietta Christmas can give us some sources we can use in New Mexico to find ancestors who were in Spanish military during the Revolution, so we can get into the SAR and DAR. So joining us on the line here right now, we do have Mrs. Henrietta Christmas, Daughters of the American Revolution. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely happy to do so. Definitely when we were talking about the idea of such a program as we're doing today, organizations such as y'all's definitely came to mind here. So to that question that Gary was asking, actually taking a step back, I guess we should say, for people who may not be familiar, what is your organization? And then how do you all, market and celebrate these kind of occasions?
Well, there's 2 organizations. One is the Daughters of the American Revolution. That's for women. And then the other one is Sons of the American Revolution, and that's for men. And one of the ways that we celebrate all holidays, veterans, the United States, is with patriotism. Mm-hmm. And this week in Washington, D.C., the Daughters are having a huge convention, and so they are visiting cemeteries, they're visiting all the monuments that exist on the East Coast. And so those of us that didn't go, we get to be on radio shows and talk about New Mexico and El Paso. Both organizations, I'm going to just say go to dar.org or sar.org. You can find out more information. Over 120 years of tradition, basically founded for historic preservation, education, and of course, patriotism. Both organizations do quite a bit in each of those categories. And again, educating people about American history.
Absolutely.
And that seems to be something that both organizations really, adhere to. For El Paso, because I am a daughter, and I'm also on the National Spanish Task Force, the chapter in El Paso is the Stoddard del Norte chapter. There's one in Las Cruces, the Doña Ana chapter, White Sands. You can just go on their site, and under chapter locators, you can find places where you can get more information. And Texas, because it's so big, has a number of chapters. So you don't have to live in El Paso to belong to the El Paso chapter, in other words.
So we had talked a little bit earlier in the show about some of the aspects of the support that was given to, well, the cause of American independence, the Continental Army, etc. People who may have heard of the organizations that, again, you're referencing here and that you are a part of may have thought, okay, there was some direct genealogical components of it here. It has to be direct descendants from those that actively fought, kind of a thing. But based on that material support, that can actually allow people to join up, even if if their ancestors had essentially nothing to do with the East Coast or any of the events that happened there.
That's exactly correct. So, for instance, for the El Paso, New Mexico, Santa Fe corridor, we gave dos pesos, our soldiers, and just kind of think of it as sort of like a payroll deduction. So they got money given to Spain, and quite a bit of money, actually. And again, Spain's contribution was really more monetary than anything else. If you have an ancestor, if you've done your genealogy and you can get back to the 1776 time period and you have a soldier in your records or documentation, probably more than likely that person donated money to the American Revolution. I call it George Washington's cause. But again, Texas drove 10,000 head of cattle towards Pennsylvania to help feed the troops. And you could have been one of those cattle drovers. It didn't mean you gave money, but you helped in that way also. And, people just don't look at it as, what we did on this side really helped. But if we hadn't helped, there would be probably no United States of America. Anyway, so if you do your genealogy, and you can go back and you find a document that says soldado, alferez, capitan, something like that. And it doesn't matter how you get there. If you wiggle all over the place going back, you can pretty much apply and then become part of the organization.
So what kind of resources are available? Again, going to that question that Gary asked, if people want to reach out or even get starting points here, what kind of advice do you all give or can make available?
Well, I think the biggest one right now is you have to start with yourself. So you would need your birth certificate, you would need your parents, probably birth certificates and their marriage license. And then from there, if you go on familysearch.org, and if they were Catholic, most of those items have been filmed. And then there's also, I know in El Paso at UTEP, there's quite a bit of genealogical information. Across into New Mexico State University has quite a bit. And that's kind of my role as part of the National Spanish Task Force. If somebody is interested in joining, I can help them locate those records so that they can apply.
Excellent.
And there is quite a bit. In New Mexico, we've already honored close to 40 soldiers that have been, their descendants have been admitted into DAR and SAR. And you can just piggyback on one of those people. That's just another way of doing that.
Absolutely. There's something I've been meaning to do personally in my own life, because I had growing up these plaques on the wall of from my grandmother of thought of the American Revolution, and it wasn't until more modernly I understood, oh, that's what that means here. But so the contributions of people to this thing from that era, again, foundational is a word we're using a lot today because it is accurate here, because the way of them doing it. So either you, Martha, or what we're talking about here when in the individuals, are there any significant ones that you all want to mention here as some regionally that were a part of these organizations and this organization sending this support? Henrietta?
Well, I'd like to say that in New Mexico, everyone's heard of Juan Bautista de Anza. He was a very famous soldier out of the Sonora area. He was our governor and captain at the time that these donativos were taken. And he would have also overseen the smaller presidio in El Paso. Without him and his efforts and the edict from Spain, which, came about 4 months after Spain declared war, he was loyal to the crown, and he did what he was told to do. And so because of that, all the collections were made. Alcalde mayores, or mayors of these small villages and towns, would have been notified by town criers, by messengers, and helped to make sure that this was fulfilled. I mean, it was, an order from the king. And again, I think loyalty to crown and country was kind of how these people, followed the letter of the law or the contributions to help with the war, because they were ordered to do so.
I also believe that some of the pueblos also contributed, if they could.
The Pueblos sent seed back east. And I always tease people when they go to Monticello. I'm like, I bet you some of those seeds that still survive today came from, the Pueblos in New Mexico. So there was other goods is another way of actually making a contribution. And the bulk of what New Mexicans did was give the money, the 2 pesos. Some people gave more, but we haven't found that exact list. And as we go through all of even Mexico, more and more of these donativo lists are surfacing. And that's great, because the more that surface, the more we can reach out to get people to join the organizations.
Excellent here. So again, that is Mrs. Henrietta Christmas with the Daughters of the American Revolution, calling in from Albuquerque right now. Truly across the country and around the world show here today. And I'm going to still joined here in studio by Martha Vera, Honorary Consul of Spain in El Paso. We got to take that last break of the hour here right now. Coming out of this break, we'll close out the show, of course, wrap up and focus more on some of these important issues and where ways people can find out more information. So stay tuned with more on the El Paso History Radio Show here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
M1 EP Management Corporation is proud to sponsor the El Paso History Show. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, invest in real estate. M1 EP manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. See the website, m1ep.com, m1ep.com. To learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation of investing in real estate, call 915-592-4549, 915-592-4549. El Paso History TV is now available for free on YouTube.com. Take a look at recent ABC 7 news reports by Bernie Sargent on El Paso History TV about Waco tanks, the Franklin Mountains, Concordia Cemetery, and more. The YouTube channel also has more than 100 videos about El Paso history with lectures, documentaries, and various history clips. Go to youtube.com/El Paso History TV and find out how Texas history begins in El Paso.
This summer, fire up your imagination with Audible. Listen to comedies, thrillers, mysteries, and more. It's everything you want in audio entertainment, all in the Audible app. Sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com.
Tune in to the El Paso History Radio Show this Saturday, 10 to noon, here on 690 AM with your host, Andrew J. Polk, brought to you in part by Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina, 6761 Donovan Drive. That's the El Paso History Radio Show, 10 a.m. Saturday, right here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
The uh-ohs are out there. Scratches, dents, unexpected natural events. But with Mako and their magic, your car is no longer tragic. So when life throws you uh-ohs, just say, better get Mako, and go to Mako.com to book your appointment today.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Attention weekend gardeners, don't let insect pests destroy your hard work. Fight back with Maggie's Farm, created by pest control professionals. Maggie's Farm plant and mineral-based products provide amazingly effective insect control, like our 3-in-1 garden spray for organic gardening. Deadly on insects, but safe to use around children and pets. Or for really hard to kill bugs, try our new beetle and box elder bug killer. Maggie's Farm, lethal to bugs, easy on the planet. Look for Maggie's Farm at Walmart, Menards, or at maggiesfarmproducts.com.
Bloomberg Crypto is the new daily podcast from Bloomberg and iHeartRadio that tackles everything from Bitcoin to Bored Apes. Each weekday, Bloomberg reporters and experts from every corner of the industry discuss the latest in cryptocurrencies and explore how it impacts our lives, our politics, and our culture.
How many machines would I need to buy, not that I will, to kind of mine Bitcoin effectively?
Like tens of thousands of
Tens
machines.
of thousands. That's way more than I was expecting.
Listen to Bloomberg Crypto on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
El Paso's News Radio, 690 KTSM.
And now, let's turn back the pages of time and return to the El Paso History Radio Show. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-588-1850. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, 6761 Donovan Drive. By M1 EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino, with El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gift shopping. Here again, El Paso History with Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for having joined us here for the El Paso History Radio Show, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I've been your host, Andrew J. Polk, again, having joined us in studio here, Martha Vera, Honorary Consul of Spain, and still on the line with us here just to close out the show, Mrs. Henrietta Christmas with the Daughters of the American Revolution out of Albuquerque. Henrietta, if anyone wants to find out more information about yours, the related organizations, and figure out some of these maybe genealogical questions, what's the best way for them to do so?
The best way to do that would be to email nmgs.org. It's the New Mexico Genealogical Society, and they can forward all emails to me, which is what they normally do. And we can help you. We have people that can volunteer to work on genealogies. And one note I just want to tell people is that your paperwork doesn't have to say Santa Fe or El Paso. El Paso is just a region during that historical time. And so if they were in Carrizal, in Janos, in Oaxaca, all those areas, if you have family and you have a soldier, we can probably get you in somehow.
Excellent there. And then, of course, Martha, we've covered a lot of breadth here today, but barely scratched the surface. If people want to find out more information about the work that you do, the organizations you're a part of, or just some of these general history topics, what's the best way for them to do so, or get a hold of you anyway?
Yes, you can write me an email at consulspain@gmail.com. So it's CONSUL Spain, the country, @gmail.com.
So great subject here, great focus it on, greatly appreciate y'all's help in helping us explore this history today. So again, Henrietta, thank you very much for taking the time to call in by phone here today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, and have a super fantastic 4th of July.
Oh, you as well. Absolutely. Grant that for you. So thank you very much for that. And again, Martha, thank you very much for being with us here in studio and to a large extent helping coordinate all of this, because I didn't know enough people in Spain to do this.
Well, thank you, Andrew.
And you did want to mention your book real quick?
If you want to read more about Spain's influence on the American independence, this is the book to get by Dr. Thomas Chavez.
Spain and the independence of the United States here. So again, more information if you want to explore that there. Otherwise, thank you all very much for having joined us here for the El Paso History Radio Show. We'll see you all next week.
Happy 4th.
Happy 4th of July, everyone.
Thank you for listening to the El Paso History Radio Show. We hope you'll join us again next Saturday morning, 10 to noon. And be sure to tell a friend about us. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-588-1850. By Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, home of the Juan and only Margarita. By M1 EP Management Corporation. By Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino, with El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gift shopping. Thank you for joining us from the studios of News Radio 690 KTSM AM El Paso.
Hey El Paso, Ivan Ochoa, General Manager of Southern Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. We make car buying fast, fun, and easy. And due to high demand, we need trades. So we'll do whatever it takes to get you out of your old vehicle into a new car, truck, or SUV today.
Even if you owe thousands more than your trade is worth, we want it. So you can get huge savings on every new and certified pre-owned vehicle in our huge inventory. For a limited time, get $4,000 off MSRP on the all-new 2022 full-size Wagoneer SUV with third-row seating and up to $7,000 off select new Ram trucks. Super low 2.9% APR for 72 months on the all-new 2022 Dodge Charger. All military personnel and all first responders receive an additional discount. Thank you for your service. Trade and upgrade for less during the Make the Switch event at Southern Park Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Where buying a car is fun. At I-10 at Southern Park Drive or online at southernparkdodge.com. Estamos en tu esquina El Paso strong. Includes factory rebate and dealer discount. Is $1,515 per thousand finance on select vehicles. Zero down with approved credit. Offers not combined.
My mom and dad are the best. Ever since they called the early childhood program, I'm doing so much better, and mom and dad don't worry or stress as much as they used to. They seem a bazillion times happier, and all services are free.
Parenting isn't easy, so we signed up for the free early childhood program at the El Paso Center for Children. They taught us how to deal with COVID-19 stress and be better parents. Lots of other free services are available. Call 915-500-4105. That's 500-4105.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Talk El Paso is going daily. Join host Andrew J. Polk weekdays at 4 with the Borderlands' only live local talk radio show, breaking down the impact of the news and taking your calls. That's Talk El Paso live Monday through Friday at 4 right here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
Sponsorship and advertising opportunities are also available. To find out on how you can affordably reach an affluent and highly educated demographic, please call iHeartMedia at 915-351-5473. That's 915-351-5473.
Stay informed at KTSMradio.com.
Have you thought about dental implants? Has someone told you that dental implants